is Southern Cross News with Joe Palmer.
Good evening, everyone. A blaze that ravaged a home in Ttree this morning is being treated as suspicious. Authorities did what they could to save the vacant property, but the fire was so fierce it completely destroyed the building.
This burnt-out shell, all that's left of this home in Ttree. Just after 7:30 this morning, multiple brigades responded to the call, finding the house fully engulfed in flames.
Property was fully involved, it was coming out the top part of the house.
Water from a nearby dam and the home's pool was used to battle the blaze, but efforts were fruitless. The building was completely destroyed.
The walls was falling outwards, so as soon as the timber beams burnt through, they're letting the walls go and they was falling. So we didn't do any interior firefighting because it was just too dangerous. It
took hours to bring it under control and make the structure safe enough for investigators to enter.
To try and determine, that what or where something might have happened, yeah.
The exact cause of the blaze is yet to be determined, but authorities are treating it as suspicious. This is what the house used to look like. It had recently been listed for sale for more than $500,000. It's understood the owner vacated the property just 2 weeks ago.
It is a vacant property, yes, and there is furniture and the likes in there, yeah. I just don't know where the owner is at this stage.
Investigations are continuing, but anyone with information is urged to contact Crime Stoppers. Louise Hedger, Southern Cross News.
A Tasmanian court has heard the driver who admitted driving negligently, killing his partner and their 2-month-old son, is devastated by the loss. Andrew Shields was travelling along Deep Creek Road in Wynyard in June last year and collided with a truck while turning onto the Bass Highway.
Andrew Shields appeared in the Burnie Magistrates Court this afternoon as the facts of the crash were read out. The court heard Hayley Best was in the passenger seat and their 2-month-old son, John Ray, was in a capsule on the back seat. Both were killed. Shields pleaded guilty earlier this year to failing to give way at the intersection, being an unaccompanied learner driver and failing to display L plates. The vehicle was also inspected after the incident and was found to be in an unroadworthy state. The court hearing today that Mr. Shields has taken full responsibility for the matter and that he and Ms. Best had a loving and close relationship, and that since the incident, Shields has been dealing with grief and depression and has no desire to get back behind the wheel. His defence team also saying he's had to face a degree of public outcry and threats on social media. The case was adjourned today to allow the magistrate time to consider the contents of the victim impact statement tendered to the court by Hayley's mother. Shields will be sentenced in September. Jessica Moran, Southern Cross News.
The state opposition is being pressured to outline its policy position on gaming reform after a Labor MP broke ranks to voice her personal opinion on poker machines. The move has enraged the Hospitality Association, who claim it's an opportunistic grab for votes.
It was a comment by Labor MP Madeleine Ogilvie sparking political controversy.
I don't particularly like pokies. I personally would prefer that they weren't in the suburbs.
Breaking Labor ranks to speak personally on gaming reform, igniting calls from the hospitality sector for a clear policy position.
Madeleine's been a member for a few years now and she's never raised gaming once, but apparently opportunistically, now that we're in an election campaign, she wants to come out and have a crack at our members.
The government seizing on a perceived split within the party, with the newly endorsed Labor Denison candidate Tim Cox last month expressing his personal opinion, with concerns around the damaging impact on families, ripping money out of communities who can't afford it.
They have candidates and sitting members that are breaking off, that are providing their own positions. Ms White needs to come out of hiding and explain very clearly what the Labor Party's policy is.
Labor was unavailable for comment today. Scott Bacon yesterday maintaining the party will wait for the public inquiry before forming a position, his personal opinion being
Well, I've got mixed views when it comes to poker machines. We've seen, obviously, there are a lot of jobs created, particularly in regional areas, in pubs and clubs. But we've also seen evidence given to the committee that there is harm caused by these machines.
There's no more we need to know about the harms of poker machines on people who are addicted. There's just so much information about how damaging it is for our community.
The Labor Party has to respond to this sort of pressure from within the party and has to change its position. And maybe that'll change the Liberal position as well.
A Liberal position change unlikely pending an inquiry outcome due in September.
We want to see a reduction of 150 of the machines and importantly, we want to put the Federal's licence out to tender.
Jacqueline Robson, Southern Cross News.
The Resources Minister is keeping tight-lipped on a possible extension to a subsidy program that helps Tasmanian sawmillers. Guy Barnett was today spruiking the new Sustainable Timber Tasmania restructure, vowing to end public subsidies. However, Southern Cross News understands a 6-month extension to the Southern Residue subsidy is being considered by the Minister.
The discussions between the relevant companies and the government and Sustainable Timber Tasmania are ongoing and they're very positive.
The sale of the company's hardwood plantations is now in its final stages, with the Greens critical of the government's plan to rid the company of debt.
They've given the roads to State Growth to manage. They've taken the superannuation liability. Now they're talking about selling off the only profitable part of Forestry Tasmania.
The successful bidder is expected to be announced soon. The credibility of an Infrastructure Tasmania report is being questioned by Tazzwater, describing it as a financial disaster. It supports the government's fast-tracked plan to upgrade water and sewerage as a government business enterprise. Tazzwater believes there are deficiencies in the report with no financial constraints.
Spend as much as you like, spend it as fast as you like, let the debt go up as fast as you need it to be, and don't worry about the future profitability of the business. Well, Tazzwater's not set up that way.
We are concerned that there's going to be a very considerable extra borrowing, 600 million, which future generations are going to have to repay.
The government says it's a predictable and disappointing response, maintaining lower costs for water and sewerage. A farmer has shared his personal mental health struggle at a national conference hosted in Hobart. More than 100 Australian agricultural workers today hearing motivational stories of how others in the industry have coped during tough times. The keynote speaker telling how he experienced a debilitating nerve complaint dubbed the suicide disease, and how family and strong mental health is what kept him alive.
The last 2 months when I was very, very sick, I lived it in 5-minute increments, was actually concentrating very intently about something I was interested in or something I wanted to achieve, and also the reason I didn't want to die.
By having people with like Alan's calibre here and being able to sort of maybe set awareness patterns or structures, and then creating those pathways to offer support for all our clients.
It's the 23rd conference for rural marketing agents and it will be held in Hobart again next year. And if you need support, call Lifeline on 13 11 14. Tasmania's small businesses are the most optimistic about their state's economy, according to the latest census report. Business owners in Tasmania are 3 times more confident than the national average. The report indicating more small businesses are seeking additional finance with a willingness to capitalise on opportunities.
Jobs are being created, investment is flowing. And in the background here we can hear the noise of an economy coming back to life.
Criticisms made in the report indicate an excessive focus on big business. The next generation of Tasmanian firefighters is rising through the ranks. 15 recruits have just completed their first week of training as they prepare for the front line and the unexpected.
Tasmania's new trainee firefighters are learning the ropes. Today's challenge rappelling from the rafters of the Derwent Entertainment Centre.
They're working on what we call here is just some rappelling. So we've got some rope guys that are experts up there in vertical rescue. So they've got 5 lines set up behind us, as you'll see, and they're controlling their own descent down to the floor.
15 recruits were selected from more than 1,000 applicants. Their resumes include experience in the Defence Force, construction, fitness industry, education and police service.
It's very competitive when you look at 1,004 applications. Yes, they are lucky, but they've obviously demonstrated they have the right skills and attributes for the TFS.
Stepping off the safety of a ledge, today's exercise is a lesson in trust aimed at bonding the new recruits.
They're 15 new people thrown together and we need them to bond pretty quickly, so this sort of trust element needs to be created as soon as we can. And they embraced it really well today.
Over the next 15 weeks, they'll be trained in how to respond to urban fires, bushfires, crashes and injuries, preparing them for the challenging, diverse and potentially dangerous job of being a firefighter.
It's going to be tough. There's a lot of information for them to learn. There's a lot of classroom sessions, but we try to focus on the practical components so that they hone their skills and they're ready to leave at the end of week 15 and join the firefighters.
It's physically demanding as well. They do a lot of practical application. So at the end of this, they'll come out truck ready and ready to respond to any incidents that they may come across.
After graduation in November, they'll be posted at stations in Hobart, Launceston, Devonport and Burnie. Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
The Kangaroos and the Demons have landed in Hobart ahead of tomorrow afternoon's AFL Round 19 clash at Blunston Arena. The Kangaroos are desperate to snap an 8-game losing streak. Meanwhile, Melbourne has not beaten the Roos since 2006. The opening bounce is at 1:45. Tassie students are getting their hands dirty, planting more than 4,000 trees across the state today. It's all part of School's Tree Day, helping children learn about how to support our environment.
Riverside Primary School is a hive of activity as students get involved in Planet Ark's School's Tree Day.
It was really muddy and squishy. Some people actually grabbed some clay and now they're keeping it.
Children across the state today helped plant more than 4,000 trees.
Trees are very important, and if we didn't have them, we wouldn't really be living and most animals would be extinct. Our air would be dirty.
Dozens of schools got involved, including Herdsman's Cove, the students digging in.
That's it, mate.
At Newtown's Ogilvie High, the focus was restoring an iconic line of trees leading up the school's driveway.
Our grounds are known in the community for being beautiful, and this avenue is a really important part of that. And so having trees that flourish is a really big, important part of that.
Teachers say today is a practical way to get students thinking about the future.
And these guys are the next generation. It's important for them to start to realise how important it is to care for the environment.
And because we have the cleanest air in Australia, we need to keep it that way so then we have lots of clean air.
Michael Breen, Southern Cross News.
High stock prices are helping Tasmanian beef producers recover from last year's floods and fires, according to the organisers of a major agricultural conference today. Talks centred around how farmers can stay viable when times are tough by developing resilient business models.
You don't expect to go through a 10-year phase without seeing a drought or a flood or an unusual climatic event.
The event hosted more than 350 guests from the state's red meat industry. Meanwhile, dairy cooperative Fonterra is lifting the price it pays farmers for milk solids by 20 cents per kilogram. It brings its average price for milk solids to $5.50 per kilogram, which is on par with Bega cheese and Warrnambool cheese and butter. Murray Goulburn is offering farmers 30 cents less per kilogram than its main competitors. More business and finance news now with thanks to Tazz, your local super fund. The Australian share market has closed sharply lower amid a broad sell-off, including heavy losses from the big four banks. The ASX 200 index has dropped by 82.2 points. A short time ago, the Australian dollar was trading at 79.76 US cents and 106.6 New Zealand cents.
The TSL's match of the round is shaping up as a battle of the big forwards. Lauderdale and Glenorchy welcoming back some firepower as a top 3 spot hangs in the balance. As the business end of the season approaches, Lauderdale seems to be hitting its straps at the right time. Alex and Scott Hill come back into the side this week. Darren Winter says it's good for football.
It's pretty exciting to see, you know, Boss Scott and maybe an Arnold match-up or a Reynolds and Alex Hill match-up, and I think those sort of match-ups are sort of becoming a little bit more household names now, which we probably haven't seen over the last couple of years.
The Bombers will try to contain Glenorchy's big hitters. 3 premiership players come back in for the Pies, including Tyler Bowden at centre-half forward.
They've beaten us the last 2 times at Lauderdale, so we're really looking to go down there and give ourselves the best opportunity to win the game.
Aaron Cornelius has studied the tapes on Lauderdale. Stopping their ball movement is top priority in what should be a terrific contest.
I think the last few weeks that they've had a few guys that haven't been paid the respect in their eyes in Nat Franklin and players of that calibre.
And there's good news for Clarence fans. Ruckman Sam Siggins is likely to return from a shoulder injury earlier than expected to be ready for North Launceston next week.
It gives us 2 good big options, which I think would be important for finals. You sort of need those big bodies.
This week, the Roos host Burnie. Both sides go in unchanged.
I think it's more just about getting momentum back into our season. We've got a tough run.
The bounce is Sunday midday at Blunston Arena. King Island runner Stuart McSwain has received a late call-up to the national athletics team. McSwain will compete in the 3,000-metre steeplechase at the World Championships in London. His heat is on August 6. It's a change in fortunes for McSwain, who missed out on a spot in his favourite event, the 5,000 metres, just earlier this week. Round 18 of the NPL kicks off in just over an hour when Hobart Zebras host Olympia Warriors. For the Warriors, striker Jacob Sklenar is out injured, while Nick Mearns will be rested ahead of the side's FFA Cup game on Tuesday. Meanwhile, a win for the Zebras will see the side still in contention for a top 2 spot. Matthew Sanders is also chasing down the league's leading goal kicker.
So yeah, obviously he'd love to step up and bury some goals and, you know, chase Sklenar for that golden boot.
I want to look at implementing some of the game plan for Tuesday tonight and see how it works. So I need, obviously, a lot of them players to play tonight.
Olympia coach Kenny Weston says tonight's traditional rivalry isn't overshadowed by his side's pending FFA Cup appearance.
Good evening. Hobart and Burnie, 14 degrees today. Launceston and Devonport reached 15, while 16 was the high at St Helens as temperatures crept above average. A few isolated showers over the west and south of the state, otherwise fine. Friendly Beaches 15 degrees, Wynyard, Bushy Park and Campania 14, Low Head, Strawn and the Islands 13 and Grove a top of 12. Now there is a cloud band off over the Tasman Sea, not bothering us anymore, but there is another one moving over southern Western Australia and the Bight, and also patches of cloud are over our west and the northern tropics. So a bit there to see. Low-level cloud over Tasmania this afternoon drifted off fairly quickly. Tomorrow, a cold front edges closer to the state. It will also affect South and Western Australia. A high lies over New South Wales, extending a ridge over Queensland and the Territory. Now, the northerly winds will increase tomorrow, pushing up to 20 to 30 knots and even stronger over the southwest, with swells to 3 metres. Gale warning, that's current for waters between South East Cape and Sandy Cape. A strong wind warning from St Helens Point to South East Cape, and also from Sandy Cape up to and including Flinders Island. A small craft wind alert for the lakes. A road weather alert warning of icy roads in the Upper Derwent Valley, Midlands, East Coast and Central Plateau. Now, Blunston Arena, the big game. North Melbourne versus Melbourne. They'll have the wood on Melbourne. They're going to win, North. Hobart, rain at times and 15, but it won't be too much. 11 degrees for Maydena and Oatlands. Launceston tomorrow, early fog, rain increasing, a top of 14. 14 also for Devonport. Lyawini, an early frost with rain developing a top of 7. For Burnie, rain and 14. 13 for Strawn and Marrawar with wet weather along the west coast. And in the east tomorrow, late rain. St Helens 15, 16 for Swansea. Orford 14 degrees. Into Sunday we go, and showers easing from the east and southeast. Showers mainly over the west, south and Bass Strait on Monday, with snow to 800 metres, and conditions clearing on Tuesday, just a chance of a shower over the east coast. Showers increasing over Perth and Adelaide tomorrow. A late shower forecast for Melbourne and 18 degrees. Mostly sunny weather for the remaining capitals. Clear conditions at the moment, 7 in Hobart, 6 right now in Launceston and 8 degrees in Devonport. One last message to the Kangaroos players: get out there and beat Melbourne tomorrow. You see, Joe, with the Swans winning tonight and Kangaroos tomorrow, all is well with the world.
Swans don't have a hope. Sorry to break that to you, Murph. All right, have a lovely evening. That's all from us here in the newsroom. We will, of course, see you with updates. Bye-bye.